Bathroom Breaks and Bedtime Tales presents The Story Nobody Tells by Sevastian Winters. Inspired by true events. Ivy Methvin, 1942. People say hurtful things about me and my wife on account of how I helped the law get Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow killed. They say I was a Judas, a rat, say I sold 'em out for me own skin. But I'm here to tell you what I done to save my boy Henry. Truth is, Bonnie and Clyde was already dead soon's that bullet struck that prison guard Joe Croson down at Eastham the day they sprung my boy. They just hadn't had the good grace to lay down yet. But sure as I breathe, that moment was the end of it, whether they knew it or not. A man don't get away with killing the law, not in Texas. Now, I know folks won't believe me. They got their own ideas about things. But I ain't telling this for them. I'm telling it so when I'm gone, someone out there knows the real story, not the one the papers printed, not the legend folk like to spin about 'em, just what happened. Eastham Prison Break, January 16, 1934. I weren't there. I ain't gonna pretend I was. But Henry was. And Henry told me what went down. Told me that first night he come home when he was still shaking, hands curled up like he was holding something that weren't there no more. Told me with a belly full of food and a gut full of whiskey, staring at the floor like the words was trying to climb back down his throat. He said it was foggy that morning, real thick, like something crawling over the earth, reaching for him. Said the guards was already idjit for it happened, 'cause the night crew found footprints by the road. They knew something was coming. They just didn't know what. Then come the roar of an engine. Didn't see the car till it was already there, Pop, Henry said, shaking his head. Didn't hear nothing but gravel kicking up. Then, bam, shotgun blast. Dirt flew up like something exploded. I listened, poured him another drink, let him keep going. God started hollering, he said. Crossan turned in his saddle, reaching for his gun, and then Henry stopped, swallowed hard. Then what? I asked. He didn't look at me, just stared at his hands, flexing 'em slow. Then Palmer shot him, right in the gut. I didn't say nothing. Just let the words hang there a moment. I could see it in Henry's face. That was the moment everything changed. They could steal cars, rob banks, run from the law, but this was different. This was killing a prison guard. The law don't forgive that. The quiet after the storm. Henry told me the rest, slow and careful, like maybe if he said it quiet, it wouldn't be real. Clyde was already waiting with the door open, he said. I couldn't hardly think, Pop, just ran. Chains still round my ankles, dragging poor Bobby with me. Someone fired, damn near took my head off. I hit the ground, thought I was dead. But next thing I know, bam, chains busted. Don't know who shot it, but I weren't going to stop to ask. He rubbed at his wrists like he could still feel the weight of them irons. Got in the car, he said. Bonnie's laughing, telling me, "Welcome to the free world, Henry." Clyde's smiling like he just won something. Cars already peeling off, dust flying, guards screaming behind us. He took a breath, real slow. Crossan was still alive when we left, he muttered. Saw him in the mirror, holding his belly, trying to sit up. Looked right at me. He looked down, twisted his fingers together. Died a few days later, didn't he? I nodded. Henry let out a breath and shook his head. Clyde laughed about it, called Palmer a hell of a shot. Said the law would be coming harder now, but that just meant we had to be faster. He looked at me then, eyes dark, like he already knew what I was thinking. The deal with the devil. Clyde showed up not long after that. Come rolling up in a fresh stolen Ford, cocky as ever, Bonnie beside him, shotgun in her lap. I was sitting on the porch, already waiting. Had a shotgun across my knees. Not that it'd do much. Clyde stepped out slow, smiling like a man who thought he had it all figured out. "Ivy," he said, nodding like we was old friends. Clyde. His eyes flicked to Henry, who was standing just behind me. "I took care of your boy," Clyde said, all easy, leaning against the car like he had all the time in the world. "Now you take care of me." I felt Henry's eyes on me. This was it. I knew what Clyde was asking for. Henry was one of 'em now. Clyde weren't just checking in, he was collecting. My fingers curled tight round the shotgun. Clyde saw it. He smiled, slow, like he already knew. I swallowed hard, forced a smile. "Course, Clyde." I shook his hand, and that was it. That was when I sent him to his grave. He left me no other choice. The price of a life. People call me a traitor, a coward, say I sold 'em out. But Clyde was a dead man walking from the moment he shot his way out of Eastham. He just didn't know it yet. And Bonnie, she chose her path. So if you looking for the truth, here it is. I didn't kill Bonnie and Clyde. They done that themselves. I just made sure Henry didn't go down with 'em. Now, you tell me, was I wrong? Author's note: the events in this story are based on real history, though much of Ivy Methvin's personal perspective remains unknown. Some details were exaggerated or made up for the sake of good storytelling, but I tried to adhere to the historical record as much as possible without sacrificing story. On January 16, 1934, Clyde Barrow and his gang orchestrated a violent jailbreak at Eastham Prison Farm in Texas, freeing several inmates, including Henry Methvin. During the escape, convict Joe Palmer shot and mortally wounded prison guard Major Joe Crowson, who died from his injuries 11 days later. This killing sealed Bonnie and Clyde's fate, as Texas prison officials vowed to track them down and bring them to justice. Henry Methvin remained with the Barrow gang for months after the escape, participating in multiple robberies and killings. But as law enforcement closed in, his father, Ivy Methvin, struck a deal with authorities. In exchange for leniency for his son, Ivy agreed to help set up Bonnie and Clyde's ambush. On May 23, 1934, law enforcement moved Ivy's truck to a rural road near Gibbsland, Louisiana, knowing Bonnie and Clyde would stop there to wait for Henry. When they did, officers opened fire without warning, unleashing over 130 rounds, killing them instantly. While the broad strokes of Ivy Methvin's betrayal are historical fact, his personal feelings and motivations remain unclear. This story imagines his inner conflict, the weight of his choices, the tension of knowing he was handing two infamous outlaws over to their deaths, and the question of whether he ever truly believed he did the right thing. My account of his defense, while rooted in historical accuracy, is fiction and rendered for dramatic effect. Ivy Methvin died in 1946 from injuries sustained in an automobile accident in Shreveport, Louisiana. Bonnie and Clyde's death car is displayed alongside gangster Dutch Schultz's armored car in Primm, Nevada.